Expected major shakeup in Akufo-Addo's government this morning. We have a list of purported ministers who are leaving and those who are coming in for you shortly. Meanwhile, MP for North Tongue Samuel Blakwa says the reshuffle has come rather too late and might not yield any results.
I mean, honestly, it's a little too late. Many Ghanaians had expected that this non-performing team, which has delivered the worst economic crisis in living memory.
MPP minority in Parliament said to test the sincerity of Dr. Bawumia's intention to scrap taxes by presenting a private member's bill in the House to abolish the taxes more. As minority leader says his side will not allow the Vice President to take the country on a ride.
Use weapons indiscriminately maim and kill innocent men, women, and children, inflicting lasting physical and psychological harm.
Plus, all African states urged to ratify the International Convention on Anti-Personal Mines, widely known as landmines. That's according to Vice President Dr. Bawumia, revealing that deadly explosive devices killed or injured over 4,700 persons in 2022, with close to 50% being children. We're live on our Facebook, Instagram, and X Spaces via JoyNews on TV. My personal handle is @Nana Aisha. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. President Akufo-Addo has announced a major shake-up in his government today. This marks President Akufo-Addo's major ministerial reshuffle since assuming office in January 2017. With barely 10 months until 2024 polls, the president has announced significant changes that will see some of his trusted and reliable hands moving to other ministries, while others will altogether exit this administration. There's been intense pressure on the government to sack the finance minister, who many accuse of throwing the country's economy out of gear. Calls for government to also cut expenditure to redeem the failing economy have fallen on deaf ears. My colleague Samuel Mbura is with me in the studio. He has a list of ministers who are leaving and those replacing them. What does the statement say?
Well, Aisha, following the reorganization of the government, President Akufo-Addo has submitted to Parliament for prior approval through the Speaker of Parliament some sector ministers and deputy ministers as well. So these are the ministries that have been affected. The Health Ministry, Dr. Bernard Okoboy is taking over from Mr.
Exactly.
We have the Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Honorable Ophelia Mensah Hayford is the one taking over. Information Minister, the Deputy Information Minister, Fatimatu Abubakar, is taking over from her boss. Gender, Children and Social Protection, we have Honorable Dakwa Niman, the one taking that particular ministry. Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, that is Honorable Dan Butcher's ministry, has been taken over by Martin J. Mensah Kosa. We have Sanitation and Water Resources. Honorable Lydia Seram Alasan is the minister designate for that sector. Tourism, Arts and Culture, we have Honorable Andrew Agyapa Mensah. Greater Accra Regional Minister Titus Glover is taken over from Henry Kote. Oti region, the regional minister has been replaced by Daniel Makator there. Then the deputy ministers that have also been designated are the Information Ministry. We have Sylvester Tete, Local Government Decentralization and Rural Development, Vincent Eko Esifua. We have Communication and Digitalization. Charles Champon is the deputy minister designated for that. In the Health Ministry, we have Adelaide in team, Alexander Akwesi Akwa. Works and Housing, Dr. Prince Hamidu Ama has been designated as a deputy minister in the Works and Housing Ministry. Lands and Natural Resources, Kwesi Konedu is taking over Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. Musa Abdul Aziz Ayaba. Energy, John Kobina Sani, Collins Adomako Mensah. These are the two ministers designate for the Energy Ministry. Education, we have Kingsley Nyako. Employment and Labor Relations, Festus Ewa Kofi has also been designated for Employment and Labor Relations. Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Benjamin Setchuyabwa has also been designated. So these are the ministers that have also been reassigned. So the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has reassigned the following ministers of state and deputy ministers of state to new offices, and has directed that they assume their respective duties with immediate effect. So if you look at the finance ministry, we have Mohammed Amin Adam.
Doctor.
Yeah. So Interior, Henry Kote is going as a substantive minister, reassigned from the Greater Accra region to the Interior. Roads and Highways Ministry, Francis Asenso-Boakye, MP for Bantama, who is at the moment the Minister for Works and Housing, has been reassigned to Roads and Highways, taken over from Mr. Mwakwatha.
Okay.
The Minister of State Office of the President, Honorable Ambrose Derry, who is the Interior Minister, has been designated to the ministry,
at the office of the president.
At the office of the president.
And then Works and Housing now goes to Kojo
Nkrumah. And then the Deputy Minister of State, we have Abdullahi Abanga. He used to be his local government and decentralization
and rural development.
He has also been designated to that particular place as the Deputy Minister by the President. So these names will be submitted to Parliament, and then they'll pass through the procedure and then subsequently assume their offices if they all pass through the vetting and all the processes that are involved.
So what will this reshuffle mean to fixing the country's economy? Is it too little, too late? We'll be having a conversation in our subsequent bulletins on this list that has been released by the president. Let's get on to other stories. It was a bold declaration from a sitting vice president and chairman of the economic management team, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to abolish a raft of taxes introduced by his government under his watch if elected president. Well, tonight, this morning, the NPP minority in parliament is set to test the sincerity of its intention by presenting a private member's bill in the House to abolish the taxes. This, according to the minority leader, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen, is to test whether the vice president can get his NPP side to back such a bill. He was speaking on PM Express with Evans Mensah.
Vice President, we all know today, he's the second in command in the President Akufo-Addo's government. Second in command. He acts as president when the president is out of the country. He is the leader of the NPP, the ruling party. If he so desires and wants this bill, this tax removed, he should do it now.
He still hasn't
to prove to the people of Ghana that the leader of the NPP, the governing NPP party,
the party is not a government.
Oh, the leader, the governing NPP party.
The executive president takes.
Let me tell you.
The final decision.
Let me tell you.
He is not.
He cannot hoodwink the people of Ghana on the back of his stories. We've heard enough. We've heard enough of this. And in the coming days, I'll tell you what we are going to do. We will get someone, probably to bring a private member's bill to get these taxes removed and see if the MPP will support it.
Which of them? Let's list them. E-levy?
A number of the taxes, emission levy that we voted for, and some of the VAT, the betting tax and all of that. And so we should remove the tax on betting and allow the betting industry and find better ways. If you want to regulate it as such.
I'm curious about this announcement you've made about your plan to have the bills repealed.
Yes.
I mean, because it's currently law which has been implemented. Why now?
Okay, so the vice president has signaled to us that they don't want these taxes. That's what he said. And we saw their MPs in favor of these taxes, in favor of the vice president position. We heard them. We saw some of them. So we want to test whether it is genuine. And so we'll bring the bill before Parliament and we'll get them to vote for or vote against it, and we'll see how it works.
But he says we'll do it next year.
Why next year? Let me tell you, Evans, the people of Ghana cannot wait and go through this kind of excruciating hardships. We are suffering. I come from a rural community. My constituents are struggling. They are going through difficult times on the back of some of these taxes. Remove the betting tax now. Remove the emission levy now. Remove the e-levy now. Now, e-levy. Even if you send 50 Ghana cedis, they will deduct it. Even if you transfer money from your own wallet to another wallet of yours, they will deduct it. Contrary to what the law is saying. Contrary to the MPP's own, promise to the people of Ghana. They should remove it now.
Let's stay in Parliament because government invested $12 million in setting up the controversial Agyapa mineral royalties in 2020. This was revealed at the Public Accounts Committee sitting Tuesday. The minerals trading vehicle, which was established as a special purpose vehicle for trading mineral resources on behalf of government, came under serious public criticism from civil society organizations who raised questions of transparency and viability of the venture, leading to its suspension. It emerged at the Public Accounts Committee sitting during the hearing of the Minerals Income Investment Fund that $12 million was spent on consultancy, office space, and other initial preparations leading to the setup. Listen to Chief Executive Officer of the fund, Edward Nanaya Quarantine.
Which is a royalties company and fully owned by the Minerals Income Investment Fund. As honorable members are aware, this was put on hold. The main reason for Agyapa was to have the IPO done, both in England and Ghana. But for quite a number of factors or reasons, the president advised that this was put on hold. So Agyapa is on hold at the moment. We are not proceeding as of now. With regards to
a follow-up to that.
Yes.
Has the MIF made any investment or no expenses in relation to the setup of the Agyapa?
Yes, Honorable Chair. Definitely, because this was an IPO, and as honorable members are aware, for every IPO, consultants, etc. come in. The establishment of an office in the United Kingdom and also in Ghana, etc., come into place. So there have been expenses. The whole idea was for MIF to be reimbursed after the IPO. But as the IPO is now suspended, we until that suspension is lifted, we can't move on with Agyapa.
How much have you spent so far in relation to Agyapa?
I'll get the exact figure, but it should be circa. Should be around 12 million. 12 million. Yes.
Dollars?
$12 million, right? $12 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is hanging now?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
2 million in establishing Agyapa. Now the president has advised that we should suspend it, or you should suspend it. We didn't suspend it because we didn't establish anything. At the end of the day, if Agyapa is not able to carry out its objects, will you consider that we would have incurred a loss, financial loss in this transaction?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Agyapa, the expense was towards an IPO. So it is important that the MIF and Agyapa and even Ministry of Finance look at how we could even use the company, it being a royalties company, for other purposes. So the IPO, for such an extensive global IPO, usually such expenses have to be incurred for you to have an IPO. Unfortunately, in the investment bank, well, this is what happens. So it is up to us to look at how we strategize in using this as a royalties company.
There's an acute water shortage in Tamale. The situation is forcing residents to resort to diverse means of getting water. The Ghana Water Company says it's working round the clock to ensure that the challenge is tackled. Listen to Member of Parliament for Tamale South make a case in Parliament on Tuesday.
And the matter relates to an acute water shortage in Tamale, a crisis that affects the daily lives of our constituents in the greater Tamale metropolis and its environs. And the acute water shortage has gripped our city, leaving our beloved people parched and desperate. Mr. Speaker, that has occasioned some immense hardship and impacting negatively on every aspect of life in the Tamale city whether from Gujatua, Kudula through Lameshegu through Sanaragu through Kobrimagu, Kuku, or whether through Kutonle or Palsi or Sakasaka or Sogna Hill or Sabonjira, the problem remains the same. And our people are seen carrying what is popularly known as the Kufuor gallons in search for water. Mr. Speaker, many of the communities have not even seen pipe-borne water in the last few years. In some areas for 2 years, no pipe flowing. And many of the rural areas, such as Toto, Yapala, Zo, Nantonzo, Kapaile, have to rely on dam water in order to be able to access potable water. Mr. Speaker, almost all the Tamale water projects have suffered delays. I do know that government came in with some 272 million euro assurance that there will be further development on the Bywater International Limited water project, which was at Dalang, and to move it to Yapi so that access could be expanded even to affect areas like Damangu. Mr. Speaker, Tamale is fast growing and is considered one of the fastest growing cities in West Africa and is becoming a major problem for many of us members of parliament in that particular area. Mr. Speaker, accordingly, I want to government to consider declaring Tamale a water scarce zone, allocate emergency resources to address the immediate needs of residents in the Tamale metropolis, and then deploy emergency water relief supply. Even if the Ghana Water Company can ration water around the community, it may alleviate the suffering of the people. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the water shortage in Tamale is a humanitarian crisis demanding urgent attention by government.
Head of Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, joins us with some answers. Mr. Mate, grateful for your time. What is the challenge of the Ghana Water Company Limited in providing or supplying water to the Tamale metropolis? Hello, Mr. Mate. I'm asking what the challenge is, reason why you haven't been able to supply water to the Tamale metropolis.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Aisha. Okay, so the Tamale situation has got to do with some 4 or 5 meetings which we have been working hard to solve. Now, the first one currently is the dry season. And the dry season, the levels of the Nawuni River goes down. So then we are unable to extract enough for treatment. Now, when the level also goes down, what we do is we sand, alluvial sand active. So it separates the water, it agitates the water, and makes it highly acidic. So when we extract the water, we are unable to extract enough and treat enough for the people. So it has created a shortfall between demand and supply within the community. That is one of the reasons. This we have been trying to solve with the community for a very long time, but we haven't been successful, very successful in that area. Now the other one is the fact that our transmission line from Gala, where the treatment plant is situated, into the Tamale area, is always punctured by the communities along the transmission line. What they do is to plunge the line to feed their cattle and to use the water for their farms and all that. When it so happens, we always need to shut down and to repair these lines. And when we shut down, definitely we realize that it will take a bit of time for us to recharge the line before water gets to every part of the community. The other aspect is the destruction of our pipelines within the community by contractors. Okay, currently a full stretch of pipeline has been referred by one contractor, which we are dealing with at the moment. We need to repair this line before we're able to send water to this community. Okay. So so this one, in addition to other challenges that we have in the system, is affecting the Tamale metropolis. We have been working around the clock to ensure that these things are solved. We have been working with the MPs in the area, like Honorable Haruna Isusu and some other MPs like Alaji Semini and others, to see how best we all can work together and to solve the problem. So we are working at that, and we are hopeful that if everything goes well, we should have enough water. There is a project to expand the Tamale treatment plant and to have a new one. Okay, but there's still more work to be done. So we are assuring the people that we are not just taking a leave, but there's a lot to be done to ensure that the problem in the metropolis is solved. Okay.
I'm grateful for your time, Stanley Mate. So we're looking at when for the water to be, supplied back to the people.
Sorry, I didn't hear that question.
I'm saying that roughly when do you estimate that these challenges will be succumbed to, and then you will give them water?
In the system, except it's not enough to serve the entire population adequately the way they expect. Okay, so what we are doing is we are using other means in serving, especially the central service providers, like the hospitals and then the schools, and national security and NADMO are all helping in that vein. Okay, so I can't sit here and give timelines when we're going to have enough water to supply the community or the metropolis 24/7. But we are doing everything possible so that people will have water, enough water to survive on. What we are asking them to do also is to cultivate the habit of the culture of storing water. So when water is flowing, you store, or during your rationing day, you store, and then in the event where water is not flowing, you restore to your storage. So all these things are being done, and we also expect that the opinion leaders and the and then the member of parliament and other senior members of the community will also support the GWCL as we do everything possible to ensure that there's adequate water within the metropolis. Aisha.
Stanley Mate is Director of Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited. Now, as the world marks Valentine's Day today, love has taken a different meaning at the Renal Dialysis Center of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. The nurses have come together with a heartfelt decision to show love and care differently to the patients. Their gesture is not just about medical care, it is about showing love and compassion to those who are essentially paying to live amidst economic challenges. For these medical professionals, it is a small way of giving back and reminding their patients that they are not alone in their journey towards better health. They have been speaking to JoyNews.
We are in the month of love, and then sharing is caring. So the staff of the unit taught us that because our patients have this hardship, the stresses alone, and then sometimes the neglect from patients and those things. So we thought that it's not only medication that can help to ease their burdens, and then sometimes just some small touch, something small to touch their heart, to show them that we care. So it's just a small gesture that the staff of the unit decided to give something to show our love in the month of love. So we did some small get-together for our patients. They are not expecting these things. Normally when they come, it's about giving medications, taking vital signs and those things. Then suddenly you come to the unit and then there's this joy. We are singing praises, we are dancing, we are sharing some food and those things. So you know the feeling. Something small, but it's going to last. Per our statistics, though we are giving the awareness and then we are sounding the cautions, but the trend seems to be increasing. For instance, last year, the average new patients, when I say average, from January, we had the hike around March, almost 18 patients within one month. Sometimes also the average was about 7 cases per month, which is still alarming compared to the various years, 4 or 5 patients averagely. So we see that the trend is still increasing. So most of these patients have the chronic conditions, diabetes, hypertension, and then nephrology cases from the young adolescents. Few instances, herbal medications also. And then our gynecological cases, acute hemorrhage leading to these causes. They are also. It's one of the. It's also, yeah. Yes, the use of herbal medication. You know, these drugs have other contents we don't really like. We agree that herbal medications do work all right, but we have the bad consequence that will also harm the kidneys in one way or the other. So it's not an intention that they are taking to get these effects, but they want to treat malaria, they want to treat hypertension, and then they end up injuring the cells. It may be that they also have the risk already, so something small will just trigger the effect, and then they end up with these conditions.
We realize that most of the times when family members are diagnosed, you see a lot of friends and family members coming together to support. However, a few weeks later, you become a burden sort of, and so they start shying away from you, and then this social neglect, family neglect affects the emotions of our clients. So we thought that it was necessary to show love even in the month of love. So the unit came together to mobilize some funds to provide their clients with some snack just to show love. We would like to say a very big thank you to the unit, the dialysis unit of Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. We would also like to use this opportunity to appeal to corporate institutions, corporate Ghana, individuals, the government, churches, mosques, anybody that is listening to us. Treating dialysis is a very serious issue. The patients themselves are going through financial problems, they are going through emotional problems, they are going through social and family neglect, and they really need our support. The unit at this time is also going through some major challenges, especially the dialysis machines that are being used.
Let's now take you to Parliament and speak with parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Sante for some reaction on the ministerial reshuffle announced by President Akufo-Addo this morning. Kwekwa Sante, has the Speaker made the announcement in Parliament yet? Hello, Kweku.
Malaysia, the Speaker of Parliament has not yet announced the reshuffle to the members of Parliament. There's a roll call currently ongoing where MPs expected to rise up and respond when they are called to signal that they are in the House. But we expect that right after that, the Speaker of Parliament will actually read out the communication from the President, which will include necessarily these are new appointments that have been made by the President. So a lot of MPs are all now in the chamber because they have to be called and they have to respond that they are in Parliament. But the response generally on the minority side has been that this is a welcome development, especially because ministers like Senator have been asked from government. The minority have always been on the case of the finance minister, who they have accused of being the reason why the economy is struggling the way it is currently. But they also say that they feel this is like a Yankee kind of reshuffle where almost everybody has been given a new post. You look at the list, there are a lot more members of Parliament who have now entered the executive, and some of them, the analysis they make of this is that the President wants be more resource going into the 2024 election so that they can win their seats and win more seats for the 2025 Parliament that will begin. And so it's quite a mixed reaction. I just think like Mr. Walkie is like there's now a deputy minister designated for information. Yesterday he had a notification with Agyapa. He has just walked into the chamber to take part in the roll call. So it's mixed reaction. In fact, one other person that the minority they expected would have been given a new post, would have been the majority leader of the Mentabon, who have been widely checked to be heading towards the Ministry for Foreign Affairs. But that is not happening. He's not part of that. And it will mean that he will be the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs to continue his role as majority leader. The expectation was that change would have brought about some changes to the majority front bench. That also has not happened yet for now. So Aisha, mixed reaction in Parliament in terms of these new changes that have been made, and the minority and people see that these changes are welcome, especially someone like Ken Koreata is no more minister.
Now, on the list, there are many big guys who are leaving to be replaced by others. The likes of Ambrose Derry, the likes of the finance minister. Have you cited any of these people who are leaving, and what have they been saying? How are they reacting to these changes?
Well, Ambrose Derry is a regular in Parliament. He's not around currently, but we expect that he will come in later in the day because he's almost always around. The finance minister exits, the minority say they are excited about it. He is not an MP, so it is not expected that he will be here at all, from now till the end of the year, because he normally comes in his official capacity as Minister of Finance, and once he's released off his post with immediate effect, he's not expected to be here. The Minister for Roads and Highways is also a regular in the House. He's also not around currently, and so we expect them to come out, and when they come in inside the day, we can get some more reactions from them, especially because of the seismic nature of these new changes that have been made. There are so many people who expect that the president would have done this long time ago, and finally it is coming now. So there's a lot of excitement about that. Let me speak briefly to Honorable Chief Popo and see what it makes of these changes to government. Honorable Chief Popo, we are live on JoyNews. The president has finally made some changes. Kind of where that is gone. Surely you applaud the president now.
Well, yes, he has done well, belated though, but we are happy so far that the president has listened to the many calls for him to do what he has just done. I don't know what was keeping him from reflecting the pulse and the minds of people that things were going bad. The economy was run down, the situation is bad, the whole government has problems. He kept everybody still on. So, better late than never. I think that what he has done is good.
Do you think in the last 1 year, these new set of people can make any significant changes to save the fortunes of the government, probably allow Dr. Bawumia to win in 2024?
I don't think so. The whole system is a systemic problem. The system is disrupted by suspicion of corruption, by the suspicion of malfeasance, poor management, inefficiency. So it's difficult for anybody coming in now to learn the job and to create an influence, a change in the influence. So in the whole system. So I think that changes have happened. Let's see that what they can do is to put a stop to the many lapses that are occurring. If they're able to put a stop to it, it might not improve, but at least we don't want to see any situation of corruption, any allegations of bad governance and challenges in managing the economy, and the kinds of failures and disruptions that followed Dr. Bawumia in his promises and failures. Pretending that he was small and his voice was not big enough, and at the economic management team, people shouted him down. He wanted something. Can you imagine the chairman of the economic management team to be shouted down by somebody else? So today, let's see that if it were the finance minister who was the biggest, he's out. Let's see whether the economy can readjust itself. So I don't have confidence that changes can happen, but I have confidence that we can put a stop to the many challenges of failures and corruption allegations all over the street.
Thank you very much. So that's Honorable Rashid for giving us some understanding of what they feel in the minority about these issues. They believe this is welcoming, like I told you earlier on, but they said this is start a bit too late because the government just has about 11 months to go. They do not expect that this set of people can change it substantially.
Kwekwa Asante is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Definitely will bring you more from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Let's get on to other stories. The World Health Organization is blaming the alarming rate of maternal mental health disorders in Ghana on the lack of policies to protect such vulnerable groups. This comes on the heels of a study by the WHO, which indicates that about 50 to 57% of pregnant women and mothers in Ghana experience clinical depression during and after childbirth. 13% of this figure who experience severe depression end up committing suicide. Joyce Semefakwesu has more.
Globally, about 10% of pregnant women and 13% of women who have just given birth experience some form of mental disorder, primarily due to depression. Some of these mothers are compelled to commit suicide in severe cases. According to the World Health Organization, about 50 to 57% of women in Ghana suffer from maternal mental health issues, with depression being the most common case. Lead consultant for the World Health Organization on Maternal Health Dissemination Project, Dr. Promise Sefoga, attributed the prevalence of the disorder due to a lack of screening and policy.
So when a woman is pregnant, her body produces a lot of hormones that help her to go through the stress of pregnancy. Two of them we call estrogen and progesterone. So these hormones help to stimulate what we call feel-good factors in the woman so that she's okay to cope with the stress of pregnancy. After delivery, when the placenta comes out, the estrogen and the progesterone levels drop. But it's the same time that new baby stresses come up. So the woman who is predisposed begins to suffer anxiety, what we call postpartum blues, what we call perinatal depression, where she feels low in energy, unhappy. And the most severe form is what we call postpartum psychosis. Some of them get so severely depressed that they commit suicide. Suicide is just a sign of severe depression. In the very severe cases of postpartum psychosis, the woman feels that there is something about to happen to my baby, which is more terrible than the baby dying. And as a result of that sensation, they kill the baby. Unfortunately, our health system does not have provisions for screening. So from what I've said, these disorders can happen to anybody. What is needed is for us to pick it up early or pick the warning signs. Then we do very little to avert major complications. And that is what is lacking. In Ghana, for now, we do not do routine screening for pregnant women. As we speak, we have reviewed all the maternal and child health related policies by the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, and including the Mental Health Act of 2012, there are no provisions for maternal mental health. There is none. And so we are emphasizing the call. Fortunately, the minister has accepted the call and said the ministry is going to take that up. So there is no policy, which is why the starting point is to have a national policy that mandates the inclusion of mental health coverage for all pregnant and postpartum mothers in order to optimize their well-being and that of their newborns and children.
Speaking at the ceremony in Accra, the Minister for Health, Kweku Agyapa, said the government considered the issues a serious one and is considering drafting a policy that will provide a safety net for mothers struggling with maternal depression.
Maternal mental health issues can have significant implications for maternal and child health outcomes. To address these challenges holistically and globally, the WHO member states adopted and committed to meeting global targets of the Comprehensive Mental Health Action Plan 2013 to 2030 for improved mental health services to the people. Through this initiative, the government of Ghana has made several efforts to ensure the provision of high-quality mental health services to the population. And some of these include the Mental Health Act 2012, Act 846, and the Mental Health Policy 2019, provide the policy and legal framework for deliberate actions within the landscape. I wish to assure you that the Minister of Health will provide the necessary leadership and direction to ensure the full implementation of the recommendations of this report. Strengthening mental health system and ensuring that women have access to the support and care they need during pregnancy and postpartum period is a collective effort that requires all levels of society to provide high-quality, sustainable maternal mental health services. This is achievable with the right political commitments, the right systems and structures, development partner support, and citizens' involvement.
In severe cases of maternal mental health, some women end the lives of their babies. The growth physically and mentally of very young infant is likely to be affected by the actions of mothers with mental disorders. Prolonged or severe mental illness hampers the mother-infant attachment, breastfeeding, and infant care. Rejoice Semefak-Pasu's report, read to you.
Let's take you back to Parliament, where the Speaker is currently reading the President's letter, which is announcing a reshuffle of his ministers.
I have also been invited to participate as the main speaker at the Munich Young Leaders Program on 16 February 2024. Thereafter, I will depart Munich, Germany, to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to lead Ghana's delegation to the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union from 17th to 18th February 2024. I shall return to Ghana in the evening of Sunday, 18th February 2024. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The second message, dated 14th February 2024, and it reads, Mr. Speaker, request for prior approval of ministers and deputy ministers of state designate. I trust this finds you well and in good spirits. Following the reorganization of the government, I am writing to seek parliamentary approval for the following appointments into the executive in accordance with Articles 78, 79, and 256 of the Constitution. A. Ministers of State, Ministry, Health, Name, Honorable Dr. Bernard Okuboy. Ministry, Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Honorable Ophelia Mensah Hayford, MP. Ministry, Information, Miss Fatimatu Abubakar. Ministry, Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Dakwa Newman, MP. Ministry, Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Martin Agyapa, MP. Ministry, Sanitation and Water Resources, Honorable Andrew Agyapa Mesa, MP. Ministry, Greater Accra Region, Honorable Titus Glover. Ministry, Oti Region, Mr. Daniel Machato, B. Deputy Ministers of State. Ministry, Information. Honorable Sylvester Tete, MP. Ministry, Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. Honorable Vincent Eko Asafua, MP. Ministry, Communications and Digitalization. Honorable Charles Achampon, MP. Ministry, Health. Honorable Adelaide Intim, MP. And Honorable Alexander Akwasi Akwa, MP. Ministry, Works and Housing. Honorable Dr. Prince Hamidu Ama, MP. Ministry, Lands and Natural Resources. Honorable Akwasi Konedu, MP. Ministry, Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. Honorable Musa Abdulaziz Ayaba, MP. Ministry, Energy. Honorable John Kobina Sani, MP. And Honorable Collins Adumaku Mensa, MP. Ministry, Education. Honorable Kingsley Nyako, MP. Ministry, Employment and Labor Relations. Honorable Festus Ewa Kofi, MP. Ministry, Gender, Children and Social Protection. Honorable Benjamin Sechere Yeboah, MP. Reassigned ministers. I am also writing to inform you that the following ministers and the Minister of State have been reassigned to new offices with immediate effect. C. Ministers of State. New designation. Minister for Finance. Name, Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam, MP. Ministry, Interior, Honorable Henry Corte, MP. Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Francis Asensu Boache, MP. Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, MP. Minister of State, Office of the President, Honorable Ambrose Derry, MP. Deputy Minister, new designation, Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Abdullahi Abanga, MP. Yours sincerely, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. Honorable members, the nominations are accordingly referred to the Appointments Committee for consideration and report. Leadership of the House, you are hereby called upon to submit the recomposed committees immediately for the consideration of the Committee on Selection. We need to approve the new composition of the newly approved committees by the House, so that they can take immediate action on this reorganization of the government. Formal communication by the Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, this formal communication is in connection with the implementation of the new standing orders and transitional arrangements. I gave members last week the indication that this week I will formally communicate to you the details of the arrangement on the transition and orientation of members.
You have the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, announcing the reshuffled ministers and to Parliament, reading that letter that was submitted to him, signed by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo. Now, let's get on to another story. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is calling on all African states to ratify the International Convention on Anti-Personnel Mines, widely known as landmines. According to the Vice President, the deadly explosive devices, which are the remains of wars in conflict zones, killed or injured over 4,700 persons in 2022, with close to 50% of the casualties being children. Speaking at the regional conference on the humanitarian impact of the improvised anti-personnel mines, Dr. Bawumia stressed there's the need for the International Convention on the weapon to be ratified by all countries in order to collectively deal with the menace.
Despite an international convention that prohibits the use, stockpiling, production, and transfer of landmines, there is a rise in global casualty rates around the world. To address the growing concern, especially in Africa, the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons is hosting a 3-day regional conference in Ghana, where all African states, non-governmental organizations are meeting to find a lasting solution to the menace. Opening the conference with a keynote address, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia stressed that the socio-economic impact of landmines in Africa makes it imperative for all states to ratify the Convention on Anti-Personnel Mines.
The use of improvised anti-personnel mines poses a grave threat to civilians, particularly in conflict-affected regions. These insidious weapons indiscriminately maim and kill innocent men, women, and children, inflicting lasting physical and psychological harm. They disrupt livelihoods, impede socioeconomic development, and hinder efforts to achieve sustainable peace and security. Mines on their declaration. Compliance with these legal instruments is essential to preventing further human suffering and fostering a safer, more secure world for all. I therefore urge all states that are not parties to the convention to strive towards the ratification of the convention.
That's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.